So I'm going to present the ACE modular framework for computational ethics, dealing with multiple action, concurrency, and omissions, which is a work I did with Camillo Sarmiento and Jean-Gabriel Ganassia. And so we address ethical reasoning in the sense of assessing ethical permissibility of action with respect to different ethical principles. And the aim of our framework is to propose something to represent explicitly and in a unified way different ethical principles. So it participates to the general move of machine ethics and these workshops. So what we proposed in the ACU architecture is a three-layered architecture in which you have an action model, then a causality analysis layer, and last layer is the ethical assessment per se. So the idea is to have a comprehensive architecture modeling the whole process that starts from classical planning representation. We can convert from PDDL, for example, and so take into account the usual planning way, the way of modeling action in planning, and then go from there to the ethical assessment itself, so that we can also check whether some way of formulating the dynamic of the system have some impact on the ethical assessment. So one of the main ideas of the framework is really to separate the modeling concern, and especially clearly separate the modeling of dynamics from the ethical considerations themselves. So that's why, for example, we want the action model to be completely ethical free and free of ethical considerations, so that if we need further ethical information, we will add them in the ethical layer. So that leads to the second point. At each level, we want to separate general mechanisms that are the engine, the rules that will unfold everything, from the domain or problem-dependent specification, which is quite classical in planning to have a planner, but to have then problems and domain specification. For that, we use the reunified approach, where we try as much as possible to have also domain-specific or problem-specific information to be factual, specification are factual, while general mechanism will be expressed as meta rules. And then, for example, and then we, in the ethical layer, for example, we identify precisely what needs to be specified in addition for different principles, and the meta rules representing the principles themselves should be quite general. We proposed an implementation in answer set programming, and this is an extension of previous work with Fiona Berby and Jean-Gabriel Ganassia, published in AMAS 2017. So as a running example, we will use, I don't know how much detail I will be able to go, but let's say there's a rescue situation where you have three victims. One is in a critical state. The second one is only in a serious state, but is stuck under some debris. And the third one has only moderate injury at the beginning. But the dynamics make the state worsen when unattended. So it goes from moderate to serious to critical to death. And if you go through the critical, even if you're healed, you will stay in a weakened state. You will have sequels. And then last thing is when unstuck, a victim will start bleeding and must be cured immediately to prevent death. And we have two agents, a medic that can heal injuries if the victim is unstuck, but the healing injury does not cure bleeding or weakened state. And additionally to healing, it can use a blood transfusion to stop bleeding and remove the weakened state. And then we have a fireman that can extract the victim. So a scenario could be that at first time step, the medic heals the first victim before it dies, and the fireman extracts the second. Then at second time, the second victim becomes critical and bleeding, so the medic will cure it with its blood pouch to remove the bleeding and the injury. But then by the third time step, when it go to the third victim, this victim has become critical. So all 3 victims will be saved, but with weakened state for all. If the medic has chosen to ignore the second victim, it could use the cure the first victim with the blood pouch, and then cure the third victim before it worsened too much, and then it will save only two victims, but both in perfect health. So then we go to the first component of our architecture, which is the action model. I will go quite quickly about this. The idea is to determine the dynamic of the system, and we use the reified version of a strict fragment of a discrete event calculus. So we have a linear time, fluent that holds at each time point, and event that occurs between time points, with two sorts of events, which can be action, which are performed by someone, which require the volition, and automatic events, which are kind of automatically triggered events that determine the physics or the dynamics of the system. For example, the fact that the states worsen from time step to time step. Then we can describe the action model with two main components: the action context, which is domain-specific information, which would correspond to domain and problem description in planning language. So for each event, we have an event specification declaring its type, its precondition, and its effect. And we have an initial situation declaring all objects of the domain and fluents and the initial state. In our concept, we would have then different fluents, but I will not detail it too much. So we can see one example of event specification. For example, healing a victim. You heal a victim from an injury, and you need the victim to have the injury you're trying to cure, to be alive and not to be stuck. And the effect will be to remove the injury. Dying from bleeding will occur whenever the victim is bleeding, then the event will be triggered and it will die if it's not prevented by some former action before. Then, in addition to this domain-specific information, we have the scenario, which is what really happened, and it can be described as a set of action performed at a given time. So the first scenario I described will be time 0, medic heal, fireman extract, time 1, medic heal with supporting blood pouch, and time 2, medic heal the third victim. Then last part of the action model is the engine itself, which is general and can be used for all cases. So it's the basic rule of event calculus. You specify when do the fluent hold. So all at time 0 is initially true. They will all, if there are caused, if it is the event of some event occurring just before, or by inertia, if it held before and was not terminated by some events. Same for the event precondition action. We check that actions are triggered only if all their preconditions are true. So events are triggered, all their preconditions are true. Automatic event is necessarily triggered when possible, but an action is triggered only if it is performed. And then we have a system of priorities that determines whether an event is overtaken by another one, which takes place before. So we can have a concurrency when there is non-interfering event. So as between two time steps, we could have several events occurring. And one of the things we wanted to see here is that we wanted to have explicit omission, that is detecting when an agent do not do an action that was possible. And so by definition, an omission is an action that is possible, not overtaken, and not performed. So the agent had the choice really to do it and could do it, but chose not to do it. But we also have forced omission, which is when an agent chose to do something else, chose to do an action that prevented him from doing another action at the same time. This omission can be detected by the event motor by some rules that are given here and that you can see in the paper. Then once we are finished with this action model, we have a trace stating what fluents hold at which time and what events occurs at each time and what omission occurs. Then the causality analysis will just try to link these events together to know whether which event cause other events, because this is necessary for a lot of ethical reasoning. And here we have a quite simple form of causality analysis where we say that an event causes its effect as long as it persists, that a precondition caused the auto event and enables the action. We consider that it's a different kind of causality for action because you still need a volition from another agent for the event to occur. And there is some form of transitivity in that if you cause an event that enables another, you can say that you enables it, and so on. So causing is transparently positive, but enables is not transitive. Then since we have omission, we need to consider omission has no effect on the trace. If you do nothing, nothing happens, but it still have a causal effect because you chose not to do something, you preserve the state of what you could have changed. So we say that an omission will cause the preservation of the fluent that would have been affected by the action. And this can be as per the rules. And that forced omission are in fact themselves directly caused by the action that prevented, that overtook them. Then there is another interesting effect of omission that sometimes by omitting to act, you can allow a triggered event that would have been overtaken. So in a way, you fail to prevent it. So we decide to add another modality of causality, which is allows. We'll say that by omitting to do something, will allow the triggered event to happen. At last, plans can be considered as a single decision to do all the action and the non-forced omission that occurs in the scenario. In our example, for example, we could see that, so we have A are the action, O are the omission, and U are the automatic event for each time step. And we can see an example that, for example, by choosing to heal the third victim, but not using the healing the first victim, but not omitting to support it, omitting to support the first victim saves the blood pouch so that the action to support the victim is enabled by this omission. Or we can see that healing a victim allow the worsening of another victims, and this kind of causal links. Then the last layer comes above it. Ethical assessment will, in fact, base its assessment on this causal trace, indicating what are the causal link between all the occurrence of events. And in the ethical layer, we will have three parts, which are the model of the good, which is essentially a consequentialistic component, which qualify or quantify the good and bad produced by the events. You can have additional ethical specification if you need more information than what is given by the dynamics to assess the situation. And then the core of the ethical assessment are the theory of the right, which are the meta rules explaining how to decide what is right and wrong, often based on the causality and the individual good or bad of events. Usually, most of the theories, instead of defining what is permissible, define what you shouldn't do, and what is permissible is what is not impermissible. So most of the definition will define impermissible. But a lot of ethical principle will consider alternatives scenario and say that you cannot do something if there is a better option. So we cannot stay in linear time, and we will simulate each considered scenario and annotate each trace with the third argument, which is a simulation, and allow to compare different scenarios together. Then for consequentialist approach, you will need to evaluate individual goods of each event by their effects. And you can be more precise by saying that this good has a certain strength, but with respect to a target and to a given modality. And then when aggregating, you could consider different ways of aggregation using this target and modality if you want a more egalitarian approach, for example. But in the end, you will get a weight act predicate that gives a weight to each event, depending on the good it produced directly or through its consequences, causal consequences. Then the theory of the right itself could be a simple benefits cost analysis where you try to check whether you did more good than bad. So that overall weight is not negative, or you could have a comparison between different situations, like in classic utilitarianism, where you say that a plan is impermissible if there is another plan that has a better score. As an example of deontological consideration to finish, we could have the second form or formulation of categorical imperative. And then you need additional specification, like saying which are the moral patients that you consider. Here it will be the victims. What events occurrence affect some moral patient and whether it's positively or negatively, and what are the aims of each plan. And given this as additional input of the domain, you can define that P is used as an end in action A if this action, if this action has goal G, this goal affects positively the moral patient, and no goals of this action affect it negatively. That someone is used as a means if it is affected by some relation and by it's affected, there is the action affects cause E, an event E that affects the person, and this event E does cause one of the goals of the plan. So it was a necessary step to reach the end. So you use it as a means to the end, and then you say that it's impermissible when there is a moral patient that is a means, but is not an end. So to conclude, we presented a three-layer architecture, which we consider useful to structure ethical reasoning. We based on a common representation of dynamics with explicit meta rules for ethical principle, which allow comparison or identical situation. That is a situation that will be really described in the same way. And each layer is modular, so we could use different implementation scheme for them. We proposed an implementation in ASP that is functioning, and we provide some supplementary material for demonstration. And okay, sorry, I clicked. Let me go back to my conclusion. And then we propose an explicit model of omission. There are lots of extension possible because it's in ASP. It's quite direct to include some planning in the decision process, explicit planning. But what we need to investigate further are like relation between omission and the prevention causality, or non-deterministic case when you have multiple actors and you cannot synchronize, so you need to anticipate what the other could do, and then you're not sure whether whether you have uncertainty on the possible outcome of your action because other actor might do something else. Okay, that's all. I hope I did not go over too much. Thank you.